Hey, thank you for downloading Come Sit With Us. We're so glad you want to listen to us have a natter. We also just wanted to say some of the topics that we discuss you may find offensive or slightly triggering. Sadly, we're not GPs. I would love to have been, but I didn't even pass my GCSEs. So if you do need medical professional help, please ensure you contact your GP. But right now, just come and sit with us.
This podcast is sponsored by absolutely fucking no one. Thanks for listening.
I just love this lip gloss. Okay, shall we start? I'm glad she got rid of him. Like, boy, bye.
Jesus Christ, like, I couldn't cope, could you?
That was so brilliant.
Right, let's go, girls.
Hello and welcome back to Come Sit With Us. And this week, obviously, it is only Minnie and I. Because last week, Lyd sadly said that she could no longer be part of the project, which we was very shocked about, weren't we, Min?
Yeah, we were like, I'm totally here for Lydia, and I think that she needed to make that decision for herself. But we were shocked. It came out of nowhere, and I was just upset hearing that she felt overwhelmed with kind of a lot of things in her life. And I think it was like a credit to her that she could say that she wanted to stop doing the project, even though she didn't actually want to stop doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that she didn't want to be a part of it. It's just that she just couldn't give the time anymore. She was just spread too thin. And so I think that was the really admirable thing to do, to bow out and be honest about it. You know, I really, really respect her for that. But we miss her already.
Yeah, I am so proud of her.
But anyway.
So proud of her.
I am too. I'm so proud of her, and I think it will stand to her. I think, it will stand to her character for sure. But, onwards and upwards for us, and like Lydia is still a very dear friend of ours. We're going to see her actually really soon also. I'm so excited. So yeah, it's all good there, and she's like a silent partner, she's in the background, like giving us feedback and all that stuff.
She's
so
like,
it's so
nice. Girls, can't wait to listen to what you got coming, and
it's so nice. It's so nice. So we are so lucky. Like, it was the best way. That's what I said. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was the best way to end a little trio like that, because there was no drama. But anyway, shall we move on to our topic for today? So our topic today is basically how to not love somebody back.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of all about if somebody you're with really loves you, or somebody that you're liking or you're seeing, and they get really, all up on you, and they just want to be around you all the time and whatever, but you kind of are feeling, you don't know if you're feeling it or not. It's kind of about that, but also some extra little juicy bits too. So I guess we should start with a beautiful voice note that Chess, I think you're going to play, are you?
Yeah, I am right now.
So I got with my boyfriend when I was 17. We were together for 4 years, and I had a crush on him, so I was actually a little bit besotted and was like, wow, he's going out with me. After 6 months, it was great at first, but after the 6 months, people around me started to notice like the red flags, and they'd kind of hint at me as well. But where I was so naive, I was so, no, I'm going to do it like my way. I'm not going to have anyone tell me who I shouldn't go out with, because I was like, this is my boyfriend. And then later down the line, I started to get the intuition feeling, and he actually started borrowing money from me, and it wasn't until about 3 years in I realised I was never going to get this back, and I was kind of done with the relationship, and kind of stayed for the last year just to get the money back. But all I would say is, when you're in that situation and you start getting that feeling and that intuition, listen to it, don't ignore it, because it's only afterwards, until you get to the other side and you come out of it, do you realise, why the hell did I make them decisions, and why did I stay? Like, I always look at when one door closes and another one opens, and I'm now with someone who's unbelievable. And it really makes me look at that relationship and think, what was I doing? So I just think, girls, if you ever have that feeling, anyone points out any red flags, listen to it. It's never going to go away. They're not going to change, unfortunately. And actually, you could be stopping yourself from meeting the person that actually makes you tick and works with you, rather than makes you feel like that.
Oh, weren't that great?
Oh my God, that was such a good voice note.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Like,
to
how-
whoever sent that in.
How brave is she to like open up like that? That was so like personal.
That was so brave. Like, honestly, thank you so much for your vulnerability there, because that was a really great voice note, and like the advice as well. Like, you know what I mean? She's like, from one sister to another, this is the mistake that I made.
Yeah.
You guys don't do the same. She's like, all the Come Sit With Us listeners, like she's going to have to join the podcast at one point. But yeah, I just think like, God love her, because that's really horrible. But like, don't you find it interesting? Here's what I want to ask you right about that. I feel like if you hear from other people, if you're with somebody and your friends like maybe don't like them, or they hint at you they don't like them, or your family and all that stuff, I feel like you're more inclined to then stay with that person. Why do you feel that way?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you want to prove him wrong. You want to be like, no, he is the right person for me, and I'm going to stay with him, and I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to prove that he is right for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how I probably would look at it. Like, I have done in the past. I've looked at it as though everyone else is wrong. Like, previously, my parents have said to me, like, oh, he's a lovely boy, but I don't think he's right for you, with previous partners that I've had. And I'm like, yeah, he is right for me. Do you know what I mean?
You're like, he's right for me because he's got a big fat wallet. Joke on both, whatever, but the both things. One thing I didn't say and one thing I did say. Yeah, no, I feel you. Like, it's really funny because I think growing up, that's such a growing up thing, that you feel rebellious and whatever, and you don't listen to your parents' advice, and you don't listen, but actually also it is an adult thing. Like, I don't care what anyone says, there is also a lot of points in your adult life where when someone else advises you, you don't want to listen. Like, I used to go out with a guy, and it was a really bad relationship. I've referenced it a couple of times on the podcast already, but it was a really bad relationship. And he was like gaslighting me and all that stuff. And, you know, my friends did try and tell me. And also, like, even my dad, like, I had a massive falling out with my dad over it, because he rang me one day and he just told me straight out, like, you shouldn't be with him, blah, 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 all the reasons. And I was literally on the phone to him, and I was like, Dad, you don't know anything about this. I was like, I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And I like hung up the phone. But like, I fucking was not.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. And that wasn't even at a time when we were in a happy place. Like, I was so unhappy. But like, I think I didn't want Dad to be right, and I didn't want my friends to be right, because also I didn't want them to like worry about me. And also, if you're in like a rut with somebody in a relationship, you always think that it's just going to get better. Like, you're always like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just a phase.
It was a good point that the voice note Gally made, was that a lot of the time people are not going to change. Like, if you meet someone and they're behaving in a certain way, often they're not going to change unless they want to. Like, because unless they recognise it and see their behaviour as wrong, they're not going to change.
Yeah. Why would they?
How do you know, like, how have you noticed if people have got your best interests at heart, or they're actually, because obviously you can see it as that, oh my God, they're just trying to break us up. So how do you work out the people that have got your best interests at heart and the people that are just being bitchy?
People are just trying to cause drama.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you probably know it in your soul.
Yeah.
Like, usually the people who are your friends, your long-term friends, you know, and close family, they will most naturally have your best interests at heart, or at least they should. But also, even if they don't, and say you had a friend who was telling you like that your fella was, you know, whatever, you know, being an asshole or had cheated on you or whatever, but you you know, they could be doing that to, if they liked your fella and they were creeping in, for example, right? But I also feel like you feel that when it's happening. Like, so if something doesn't add up and your friend is like slating your fella to you and you're like, that sounds so like not like him in any way, you know, like I think everyone knows deep down, really, like you can kind of guess. I've definitely been in situations where people have advised me and I saw straight through them that they were advising me on certain things for their benefit. Like I always think, I'm not that I'm cynical, but like if you ever are feeling that way, it's like good to kind of sit back and go, okay, why would this person lie to me? How can it benefit them? You know, or am I just, or are they genuinely being like, Minnie or Chess or, you know, Barbara, whatever, I need to tell you this thing and you need to know it. I do feel like it's, you kind of can feel it.
A lot of my friends I know previously have had my best interests at heart, and I knew deep down they was right, but for some reason I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't let the relationship go for ages. And it's like, but really, you're wasting time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're wasting time. Like Georgia said, when you could be meeting the person that is right for you.
Definitely.
Why do we do that?
Because I think we want to be right. It's an ego thing. It is an ego thing. Number one, we want to be right. And number two, it's that whole idea of like being in love with the person or being in love with the idea of them. And say like when I've been in relationships in the past that weren't working, and when you were as well, you still are probably like wishing it's going to work. You're still probably sitting there going, okay, I know he's... Yeah, you want it to work. You want, like, you believe what you want to believe. So you're just like, oh no, it's just a bad patch. We're just going through a rough phase. And, you know, oh, he hasn't been working this month. Or there's always like excuses. There's always reasons. Because sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. And it's really hard to leave a relationship. Especially if like, you know, like, the person might not even be bad. It just might not be a well-matched pair. Like, you know, say if somebody really, really likes you and you're not feeling the same way. But like, we all love affection. We all love attention. And so, you know, sometimes we might stay with somebody because it's an ego boost for us, or it's just company, it's routine, it's comfort, it's easy. You know, we would rather just settle and stay like that than be honest with ourselves and be honest with a person and actually be like, do you know what, look, I don't love you the way that you love me and I'm so sorry, you know? So
me and Minnie have had like many conversations on this, and we've both realised that we are people that are addicted to affection. So Minnie is single and I am in a relationship, and it's hard to come to terms with, like, I always see it as like, oh, I just love, but maybe it is that I just love affection. I love, do you know what I mean? I would always say, oh, I just love love.
But do you love giving love or do you love receiving love?
I like both.
Okay.
So I love to give love and I love to receive it. Like, I love to spread happiness and joy.
Yeah, you do.
Do you know what I mean?
To be fair. Yeah.
But yeah.
I can second that.
Yeah, but I also like it in return.
Yeah. You're not doing it for no reason, in a way. Not that you give to receive, but like, of course you want, you know, the other person to give back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think this is a really interesting topic because I'm not like, I've had casual sex a lot in my life, and some of it's been absolutely awesome. Like, it's been amazing experiences. Some of it's been not great and whatever, but you know, it doesn't really matter. The point about it is that I, in between relationships, might see somebody for a while and then kind of, I have a tendency to get bored quite quickly and move on from it. But I find
I have a tendency to never move on and just stay.
You do a little bit. But I find that, like, I'm only having sex with these people because now I haven't, it's a dry spell, people. It's been lockdown, so I haven't had sex in a while. Yeah. But I find myself that, you know, I just stay with them because I like the feeling of being adored.
Yeah.
I like the feeling of them like loving all on me. I like the feeling, you know, and then after a while, like, people might judge me on this because I don't, in fact, I had a friend who used to say to me, like, Minnie, you're kind of leading people on. I'm like, I'm not leading anyone on, because I always say I don't want anything serious, I don't want a relationship, and I do not want a boyfriend, especially
but your
that's
behaviour,
like a little while ago, but also especially,
but
you
your
know,
behaviour might be different. Yeah. Because that's me.
That's exactly,
me
that's what my
previously.
friend used to say. She used to say to me, Minnie, sure, you're giving them the girlfriend experience. Even though you're saying all the words, you're hanging out with them, you're fucking all over them. You know, I'm like, yeah, that's because I like his dick.
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem? But yeah, apparently. So it's like, there's a question for the listeners. Like, is that leading someone on? In my opinion, and just to like clear my name here, I am so upfront at the very beginning. I will always say, I'm not looking for anything serious, I'm not looking for a relationship, I'm not looking for, you know, but like, I suppose you could argue that can make people more interested.
People want what they think they can't have. It is a big thing. I don't care what anyone says, people do want what they can't have.
Yeah, it's true. And I think especially for a bloke, it might be a bit of a thrill to think, oh, maybe I can be the exception. Much like the way women, I mean, I've definitely been there before when somebody has told me they didn't want anything, but maybe secretly in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but maybe he'll fall in love with me. It'll be really good.
Also, Min, I wanted to ask you this as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. Have you ever had an experience of you have got so close with people around your partner, family, that makes it harder for you to get away?
Oh my God, that's sometimes the biggest reason.
Yeah, that has been the biggest reason for me before, because you're like invested in this family and you love them all so much, and you know that if you break away from the person, you're gonna break, whether you don't see them at all, but you're still gonna break away from them in a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain distance they're gonna then keep from you because you're no longer that girlfriend.
Yeah. You're no longer an item. That's sometimes like the hardest thing, and there's a lot of guilt there too. Like, I definitely get close with people like quite easily. Whether it's friends or lovers or whatever, I can get close quite easily with them and with their family and things like that. And I always feel like such guilt then, like having to leave and having to, sometimes like you don't even say goodbye to the family, and you don't even say, you know, whatever it might be, and you just like, that guilt is a big thing too. And also, like, I come from a broken family, so I think when I have a partner or whatever and I'm close with their family, I know that when I'm leaving them, and if I love their family, it's even more of a heartbreak for me, because like I don't enter into a relationship lightly. Like, I'll definitely see somebody and that's fine and that's all light and fun and whatever, but when I'm actually in a relationship with somebody, it takes a lot for me to enter into one, because it's such a big deal. So if I'm in a relationship with you and I'm invested in your family, it's because I see a future, and it's because I can see myself as a part of your family also. And because that's something that's been missing in my life, like a family unit, that's also really important to me. So if I love their family, it's quite likely that I'll actually genuinely really love them, you know? So I've often found that really, really hard to leave the family too. Although I've stayed in touch with a lot of people. Like, I've stayed in touch with, definitely like a couple of my boyfriend's moms, and we're still really close right now, which is super, super nice.
See, I haven't really stayed in contact so much with boyfriend's mums. But like, I've stayed in contact with family members that I'm really close with and I get on so well with, like. But obviously there is an awkward thing. Like, one of mine and my sister's best friends was our friend before she went out with my brother. But obviously now she's not with my brother, but we're still super close with her because we were friends with her to begin with. So we're like, we're not going to break up our friendship because we told you to. If you get together and you break up, obviously if there's no cheating or nothing like that, or no fights or like nothing horrible, then we're obviously we're going to stay friends with her because she's our mate and we love her.
Totally,
Do you know
totally.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But families, breaking away when you're really close with the family is so, so hard.
And so I suppose, what, you know, the way like I was saying that I'm addicted to affection, like, because that's what I was going to say, is like sometimes when I'm in between relationships and I'm just like casually seeing somebody, I'm just doing it because I like the way it feels, right? And I'm not actually thinking about the other person. So I can be really selfish in that way, because I'll be seeing someone and it's going great and it's fine, but I don't really, I'm just interested in what it's giving to me. And like, that's not it's not an attractive thing, like, to admit, but also it's like not a character trait of mine, because I'm actually really giving, and I'm really compassionate, and I'm a really, like, you know, considerate person, I think, for the most part, for other people, or at least I try to be. So, but then when I'm seeing, it's like it's a bloke especially, and it's just a casual thing, I don't know if it's because he's a guy, and I kind of feel like I've been used by men before, so I kind of feel like, well, I'm just going to use this guy the way that I've been used. Do you know that way? Like, I'm kind of like, well, men do it all the time, like men sleep with multiple women at a time. I actually never do that, to be honest, because it's too much effort. I couldn't be arsed. But oh my god, I couldn't think of anything worse, having to deal with more than one man. But you know, so I kind of think, like, to myself, I'm like, well, guys do it all the time, I'm just going to get my jollies and fuck off, you know. But I think it depends on the person that you have that, like, agreement with, because sometimes they're kind of catching feelings even though they're not saying it and stuff, so then they end up not getting, like, really what they want from you at all. They end up getting, like, upset or annoyed and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think I've actually stopped doing that, kind of casually just seeing people, because also I'm starting to kind of come to the way of thinking that, like, just randomly having sex with people regularly, right, kind of takes away from your energy. When it doesn't mean something, you know. Like, I've definitely had one night stands that were great, but also I've had a lot of one night stands that were like, nothing bad happened, but the next day I just didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel good about it. I felt like I'd given myself away and stuff. So
it's so interesting that you say that, because I've sometimes thought, like, because I've never really had sex with anyone that doesn't mean anything. Well, actually, one person, but, like, because I've always had it's been quite long relationships. Yeah. And I would think, like, oh, have I missed out by not doing that? Do you know what I mean? No. But then from you saying that you feel like it just takes away from your energy, I feel like, oh no, you ain't Francesca. You know, like when you question yourself.
No, don't question yourself. Because valuable exchanges and meaningful exchanges, are more valuable than frivolous throwaway sex. They really are. Like, you can have a one night stand and have great sex with somebody, but even so, like, it's just one night, and, you know, it's, unless you end up, like, kind of meeting up with that person. But yeah, otherwise it's like, it might feel good in the moment, but I do think it plays on you more and more. Like, I had a lot of throwaway sex when I was younger, but now that I'm older, like, and that's the thing as well, I think when you're doing it, you don't see that it's taken away from your energy. You don't feel that it is. Maybe the odd time something might hit you and you kind of feel like, God, I feel real funny after that shag.
But it's like coming back to the topic as well, it's like, we don't see, when you're in a relationship, you don't necessarily see it. It's once you come out of that you tend to see it, and like the girl in the voice note was saying about the red flags, like, you tend to see them after.
Too late. In hindsight.
Yeah, but not at the time. So obviously earlier we were saying about your parents or your friends saying to you, this is not a good person, etc. If you can't listen to them and you can't hear them, do you have any ways that you can sort of figure it out yourself?
Good question. I would say what I always say, really, because I didn't do it enough when I should have, but literally listen to your body. Like, your gut is, they say it's your second brain, but actually I think it's your first brain. Like, there's so many studies that have been done that, like, basically people react in their gut to something that's about to happen before it's even happened. Your gut knows before you do, and before you logically know in your brain, your gut can tell you. So I think just try and be in touch with yourself. And like, if you're in a relationship where, you know, you don't think things are going well, or you question their intentions and you question, you know, their motives, my advice to you would be get out of the vicinity that you're in with them. So say if you're living with them, you know, it's really hard to get away from energy if it's in the same house.
Yeah.
So like, go out of the house and go to a park, you know, and like absorb kind of nature and just center yourself, and then have a little think. I would also journal, like journaling stuff down about how you're feeling about each scenario that's happened, or this and that, and then when you look back on that, you can almost yeah, because you can almost then tot up all how many negative things did I write yesterday, how many positive things did I write, you know. If you're journaling and stuff, you can kind of weigh up how you're thinking, and you just let it flow. Just journal about, don't even think about it, just whatever is in your head, just start writing it down like a stream of consciousness.
The only thing is, you know, you said about coming away from it. I think it's you've got to come away from it for a long enough time as well, because in previous relationships I lived away because I went to a performing arts college. So I lived away, and then I went back to my partner on the weekends.
Right.
So then, like, it wasn't real life, because it was like I was only there on the weekend, so it was only like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, well, it was like a little holiday home kind of thing.
Yeah. So it wasn't.
So it
like
was a novelty.
Yeah. So then I couldn't see it so much, because during the week I was doing my thing, dancing, singing, acting every day. Do you know what I mean? And then so it was so I couldn't see it. So it's like staying away for long enough, like taking a break for like maybe at least like a month.
Yeah, I mean, but what if you don't have the option to do that?
I know, you know? It's so hard.
Like that the girl in that voice note, you know, what she was saying was pretty serious. Like, the dude was taking her money.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me with my ex-partner as well, the one I've referenced many times. You know, he took a lot of my money, and I paid for an awful lot of things, and I drained my bank account.
Yeah.
Under his advice to do so, to give him money for X, Y, and Z. So I just kind of think, like, if you're in a situation where you are with somebody and there are red flags there, like genuine ones that are like, this could be a really bad thing, like that this guy is like essentially stealing money from me, or he's cheating on me, or he's trying to manipulate me or abuse me, whatever it is. Like, if you can't get away from that and you're living with that, and they're possessive or controlling or whatever it is, it's hard to take time away from that. If you can, definitely go to like a family or friend's house.
Yeah.
But definitely, at the very least, like, I'm trying to think of how somebody can feel relief within within one moment. Like, it only takes 2 seconds to walk out your front door. And so if you know what I mean? If you're struggling, you're like, I don't actually know how I feel about this situation, whether it's like the mild end of the spectrum or the extreme end of the spectrum, you know what I mean? Either way, like, you know, at least if you can leave the house and be on your own somewhere and just have some thinking space, like, it can actually really,
fresh
at least
air
it can give
always
you
helps.
Fresh air. Also, you can call your mates and stuff like that, you know? And that's the other thing as well, I would say. It's like, I know everyone has an ego and everyone has their pride, and you don't want to admit you're wrong and stuff, but your friends are there and should be there mainly to have your best interest. So don't feel like you can't reach out to them because they're going to say I told you so. And equally, like, when you're a friend with somebody, like, don't be that person that says I told you so. You can like months later, but like, if your friend calls you and says like, oh, I'm fighting with Danny and he's done this and I don't know if he's right for me, and if your response is like, well, I've been saying this to you for weeks, so, you know, get out of there, I told you this, I told you, you know, I told you so. That's not how to deal with somebody who needs help and needs advice. Like, you gotta take your own ego down and go, okay, it must have taken a lot for her or him to ring me here or to admit this to me, because, you know, she tried to make that relationship work against our advice, you know, or my advice as a friend.
When anyone said anything to me, I'd always be like, but he loves me.
Really?
Yeah. I'd be like, yeah, but he loves me. Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't.
So do you remember like anything that anyone said to you that you responded in that way?
What they said? No.
Yeah, like, did someone come to you and say like what would their worries have been?
They'd be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you letting someone speak to you like that? Like, And I'd just be like, oh, but he loves me.
Oh, that's so sad. But you don't talk
know.
to somebody you love like shit, you know?
When we're in that rowy sort of vibe, you know, like when you're constantly, to say like, my boyfriend now would be like, let's not shout at each other. Try it as hard as possible, even if we're annoyed with each other, to talk through a situation and not shout, or we never say nasty words to each other, like, ever. Whereas if you're in a relationship when that's how you communicate, you get used to it.
Yeah, you definitely do. You definitely do. But there's no harm in trying to break that cycle. You know, there's no harm in, like, I mean, I will say I do think it's very hard to, it's not impossible, but I think it's very hard to change a relationship that's been going for a while. Like, say if you're abusive to each other, both of you, and you call each other names and you have blazing rows and you're screaming and whatever, that's all well and good, but to try and change that like 6 months in is going to be extremely difficult, you know. It's almost the case that like you have to question, is it right, rather than can it be fixed. It's more like, are we compatible? Is this relationship working?
Compatibility,
because it should be easy.
Minnie loves this.
I love compatibility. I do. Because that's the thing, like, I don't know, my dad, do you know who taught me that? It was my dad. He used to always say it to me, like, you might love someone and you might really like them and but you might not be compatible with them.
Yeah.
And it always stuck with me, but I never really listened to him. But now I totally think it's true. It is true. You know, like when they say love is not enough, that's true. Yeah, because you can love somebody, you can be head over heels in love with someone, you know, where you think the sun shines out of their eyes, you know, you can't stop thinking about them, you want to be with them all the time, but you might not be compatible. They might be, you know, really hot-headed, and maybe you're really hot-headed as well, or, you know, maybe they're really lazy, but also you're really lazy too, and so it's like, you're just not gonna, it's like what we were talking about with the love languages, Chess.
Yeah, so the love languages, guys, if you don't know yours, you should really work it out. I think it's a really great thing to do.
So what they are is like, everybody has their way of loving somebody, and everybody has their way of wanting to receive love. So there's like 5 or 7 types of love languages. Chess is going to actually read them. But like, I used to always look it up when I had a partner, like what type of stuff I was and what I liked and how I liked to give love. And then, but so Chess, go read them. I love this.
So it's words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, gifts, and physical touch. So the idea is, if you work out what yours is and then work out what your partner's is, they may not be the same, but then you know ways that you can like make each other happier. Do you know what I mean? Is that the right way to put it? Yeah,
exactly. I think that's so true. I think you're totally right, because if my love language was acts of service, but your love language was words of affirmation, that's fine. If I love you, right? And I know that your love language is words of affirmation, then I'm going to try and do that more for you. But so, and you know what I mean? And if mine is whatever, acts of service, then you're going to try and do that more for me. But I think that sounds so easy, and it sounds like such a, like, you know, rose tinted glasses world. But not everyone is willing to.
No.
Not everyone is willing to do the other person's love language.
And if someone's not willing to, then that is a sign to go. Like, to know that they're definitely not right for you. Say, for example, I love to be told that I'm beautiful. I love.
You're beautiful.
Thanks. I love words of affirmation and I love physical touch. But then, for example,
me too.
My boyfriend hates people complimenting him. Like, he doesn't really like it. Like, he doesn't mind, but he doesn't really like it. So it's like,
really?
Yeah, he doesn't like it. How weird is that?
Bill, I take it all back. So weird.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like,
so weird.
Well, yeah, he doesn't like it. So it's like,
I mean, it's not weird. I mean, it's weird to me. I can't imagine not liking being complimented. I don't know how to take compliments, but I like them. Like, keep them coming.
He finds it like really cringe.
Oh,
He finds it like cringe.
Is that because he doesn't feel that way about himself? So he's just like, oh my god.
No, he's well confident in himself.
Is he?
Yeah, but he just
Still.
it gives him the ick. Like, he don't like it.
How funny.
I know.
Yeah. I suppose that's like quite a blokey thing, isn't it?
Anyway, I'm like digressing. But so it's like working out that. So then I said that to him. So then, even though that's not something that he's used to doing because he doesn't like it himself, then you try to do it more for the other person.
Yes, exactly. And then what was his one again?
So he likes acts of service, which is like cooking stuff.
Yeah, and I remember that because you had said to me that you didn't really like cooking and all that stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
But you made the compromise to start cooking more.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that is such a lovely thing.
And not just cooking, but like doing things for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, say, I don't know, doing his invoices. I don't know, random stuff. But, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Acts of service, like, quite literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really like that.
And obviously,
Because
like, everyone likes all of them. Like, all of them in some sort of way. But it's like, what level of each, like, what do they like most? Because obviously everyone likes affection and physical touch. But it's obviously, it's like, to what level do you like it? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think physical touch for me is a huge one. I'm a really, like, tactile person anyway. And so usually if I like somebody or if I'm with somebody, I'm kind of like curled up on them most of the time. I love that. But like, it's so shit because I've definitely had boyfriends that are literally like, Minnie, get off me. You know, like guys who they don't like physical touch. That obviously wasn't their love language. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it used to like really upset me because I couldn't comprehend it. Like, I'm like, but I'm just trying to give you love. Like, I love you. Yeah. I'm just trying to give you love. And they're like, no, like, you don't need to be like sitting like on top of me for like every movie that we watch. And I'm like, why not? Because I'm too hot, Min. Yeah. And I'm like, so what? Like, I don't care. You know? Like, am I not worth a few beads of sweat? Like, what the fuck? But it used to really offend me. And I never like could comprehend. I took it personally as well. I used to read. That's another piece of advice actually, that for myself going forward and for other people too. Like, if your love language is different from somebody else, don't take it personally. Just like know that he doesn't like physical touch as much as I do. Is he willing to compromise on it? And he is willing to like give me like whatever, like back massage or hold my hand down the street or kiss me in public or whatever the hell. Is he willing to do it at some points and in some ways? And if he is, great. He's making the compromise, even though it's not natural for him and he doesn't really like it. Yeah. But if he's also, then, you know, you can come across like resentment too. Like, say if somebody's doing something for you and they're doing it because like they know you want it, but they don't want to do it at all. Yeah. Like, if they don't want to do it at all, that's also not the same as a compromise because they're forcing themselves to do something that they really don't want to do. Whereas like if they do like doing it, but they just don't like doing it as much as you want, you know, and they up their game a bit, that's them coming to a compromise. Yeah. But if they don't want to do it at all, then you're just not right for each other, because otherwise you're just going to end up keep getting annoyed with each other. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think so. And also, like, not even that, but like, if somebody does love you, they will do things that they just don't really like. Yeah. You know, they will do it because they want to make you happy. Yeah. They won't resent you for it, and they won't begrudgingly do it. And they'll be, oh fuck, you know, Chess wants a back massage or whatever she wants, you know, fucking hell. It won't be like that. It'll be like, oh, I have to give her, you know, a back massage. I don't really, but it makes her happy, and you know what? That makes me happy. So that's the whole thing.
So guys, we're coming to the sort of end of the episode. And
yes, people.
And we've really enjoyed doing a little episode just the two of us. What do you think, Min?
Yeah, it was actually really cute. It kind of just feels like we're on the phone to each other.
Like, we talk for hours. When I'm at home, my mum and dad are like, who's that, Minnie? I'm like, yeah, it is actually. Just chatting.
We do. We talk for hours and we talk. Oh my God. I've just had such a good idea. Because I was like, if people could hear our conversations, they would love that. But then I'm thinking a little peer into like, I don't know, maybe we should like record our phone calls every now and again or something, and like we'll put it up as little special episodes or some shit. I don't know, but I feel like because our conversations are so good, but they're like super explicit, like super out there, you know, super. Sometimes we talk about politics, sometimes we talk about like just crazy sex stuff and crazy life stuff too.
They might be a bit much for people's ears.
This is it. Although we can edit out anything that's too crazy.
So guys, thank you for listening, and I hope like you can relate to this and you've thought, might even inspire you to be like, okay, yeah, it's time to leave.
Yeah, for sure. You know, or yeah, it might just like even get you to get to know yourself a bit more. Like, you know, I think a lot of the problems that we have, whether it be in relationships or outside of them, is that we don't have a very strong relationship with ourselves and we're not in tune with ourselves and what we want. So if you like even like look up your own love language, you'll understand yourself more. You'll understand
and
why
also,
you get pissed off.
If you're with someone, like you could try and implement your love languages a bit more, and it might help it work more, or then it might help you realise that it doesn't work at all. But it might, you know, why not try?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. Don't forget to check out the YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Come Sit With Us 101, and on Apple Podcasts. We would love if you could leave us a review. Thank you to everybody. By the way, Chess, the Instagram has been blowing up with voice notes from people, messages from people. Oh my God, I've been like overwhelmed by everybody's kindness.
Everyone's
I'm so
been
happy
like, oh, so nice. Like I've had messages saying like, oh, I loved it. I found it so relatable. Like, love what you girls are talking about. It's been great. Like, oh, yeah. It's
been so amazing. It's been awesome, because it feels like as well, what it feels like to me is that we're like just branching out our kind of friendship group. Like that's how it feels. Isn't it though? Like I just, because like now we're like talking to some of the girls and all that stuff, so I just really like it. So just thank you to all of you lovely people, girls and guys. Sorry, it's not just women as well. Everyone's been so sick, and yeah, we love you all, and we have a surprise next week for our next episode.
Ooh, what will it be?
What could it be? So guys, look forward to that, and we love you so much. Wish us luck in our endeavours without Lydia. Let us know how we did, and then always let us know. We want to hear from you. Let us know about your topics, your issues, and if you want to get involved and be featured on one of the podcasts, hit us up, because we would love that.
We would absolutely love that. Well, love you, Min. Bye.
Love you too, babe. Bye, girls and guys. Thanks for listening.